Hello, friend ambassadors, fellow or friend and family. Welcome again. Thank you for joining, especially if you are a new visitor here. We have a hot topic on the table today. And guys, as we all know, homeschooling is something that has been going on for quite some decades. But after the COVID-19 pandemic, many families have fallen in love with and are now home educating. However, there are still some number of families that would have loved to, but because of one form of challenge or the other, they couldn't. But we are here today because there is good news. And as you can all see, guys, I am joined by our own one and only Darrel Cook, who does not only have years of experience in education, but also has his grandchildren who are home educating. So we are happy to hear him share what All Connect in particular and Onpassive as a whole would bring to the table for homeschooling families. Darrel, thank you so much for joining us on this empowerment platform.
Well, I am honored and humbled. This is a topic that I love to talk about, and because I think we have a company who has met the challenges. They are providing tools to solve the solutions for so many sectors, and I think this topic that you've brought together is one that is going to be ever increasing because of not only the pandemic, but because of what some of the challenges are now with mobile families like my own.
Exactly. We're just blessed to have you here. But before we go into depth of the whole thing, could you please point to some particular or major challenges that homeschooling families do encounter?
Well, there's the age old argument that homeschoolers may lack the social activity of meeting up with other students and developing those social networking, the social communication, sports, et cetera, et cetera. I'm happy to inform you that that is a challenge that does not have to be one for your homeschool situation. Give you one instance. My daughter, she went to the Bahamas over 20 years ago as a missionary, met her husband there. And so she had to learn that whole culture. And the first thing they wanted to do was to homeschool. And so they met that challenge and they've been doing it. As far as social development, her children are active in private track meets, track clubs, et cetera, et cetera. They are very active in their church setting. And yeah, I think that they've done very well. I don't think they've had any deficits in that area. My son and daughter in
Mhm.
law over in the Czech Republic, they first started homeschooling here in the United States, and there were groups of homeschool children that they joined, and they periodically would meet for physical education. They would meet for just outdoor activities, et cetera, et cetera. So there's many opportunities. Be creative and don't let that bother you if you're going to go into homeschooling.
Yeah,
So that's one area that I think was a big challenge for most people, or for most people when they consider homeschooling. I wouldn't let it be a challenge.
right. I'm just happy, Daryl, that you went to that really fast because even guys, if you must know, drop in the comment section if you're homeschooling or home educating, depending where you are. I just deregistered my kids 4 weeks ago, so I feel like I just brought John to Daryl to educate me in public on what to do and how to go about homeschooling. And you are right. First of all, fortunately, I have a church too. We go to the youth club and so on, all of those, and it works really well. However, I don't know about the case in the US, but here in England and the United Kingdom, when you are homeschooling or when you are home educating as of England, you are left on your own. There's no funding. And sometimes parents really want to do that, but they're like, if I home educate, I'll not be able to pay bills and stuff. So do you have such difficulties too back there in the US?
Um, my son and daughter, they were very fortunate, I think. they had no extra funding. So, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe now with charter schools and some of the federal government introducing bills, I think there's more of a shift that
Mm-hmm.
if you're a homeowner, okay, rather than the taxes going for all the public schools, you can then possibly get some of those tax benefits back to pay for your homeschooling or send your children to a private or charter school. So I think we're making advances, but my children, both in the Bahamas and in the United States when they were here, they did not have extra funding. So
Yeah.
they had to figure out what resources they could use and fit in their budget. So that
Mm-hmm.
is a challenge, but I think it could be overcome. And when we talk a little bit more about Academy and Connect, I think
So, yeah.
in the next couple of years, I think that those challenges are going to be nil.
Yes, of course. So I would just like you, I'm just leaving it free now for you because I know you will have a lot of information. The other day we met on All Connect, you discussed how it's going to connect the world and stuff. But let's just begin homeschooling, home education, depending on where you are. What has been your experience so far? What difference do you think All Connect is going to bring to this whole thing?
Well, when I was homeschooling last year and 3 years before with my children in Bahamas, we used another platform. And basically, we just used it like you and I are using it, just for communication. Anything else that I did, if I wanted to do some kind of a math problem, I'd write it on a piece of paper, then I'd hold it up and he'd have to read it.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't have the useful resources or didn't know how to use those resources with maybe another platform like what we're using here. Or I don't want to mention names because uh, I just don't think that's necessary. But
Right.
if I were to use a whiteboard, if I had the ability to upload videos, if I could send my student to a URL link that was helpful in explaining the concept or the skill set that I was teaching, that would really be helpful. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? That challenge has been met and solved because Connect or Onpassive is a company that's built to solve your solutions, or
Mhm.
excuse me, have solutions to solve your problems. I get a little tongue tied, getting ahead of here. So let me talk about whiteboarding
Mhm.
with a product like Connect. If you can just click a button and the whiteboard can come up, rather than having to go out, share your screen, upload it, and work. And then the participant has to then go to another place and they have to, activate the annotation. Those can be clumsy for a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old. But
Yeah.
if Papa Darrell could just say, look at Joe, just go down to the bottom and you see that button? It's blue. Click the blue button. Oh yeah, boom, whiteboard.
Woo.
And that's what Connect has done.
Mhm.
And then if you have 1 or 20 participants that you're dealing with, you can, let's say that I bring all my 7 grandchildren in and I want to just have a fun experience with them. They all have accounts. I send them the link. They open up the Connect and I say, look, we're going to do a little art project today. Papa's going to draw on the whiteboard. Okay. Now, George, you put the eyes in. Now, George lives in Czech Republic.
Oh my God.
Sammy, you're down in Bahamas. Oh, put the mouth in. You see what I'm saying? The interaction, and they don't
Yeah.
go in and out and all. Now, other platforms have whiteboards, and you can do that, but I don't think they have the ease of entering. So that's one thing. So then I want to talk about video class planning. If you have a resource to where you can go, let's say you're teaching English grammar, all right, and you found a couple YouTubers that really had some good information, You could
Mhm.
go ahead and either instantly hit a YouTube, we got a little button, you hit boom, YouTube link, bang, it comes up. Or if you had it stored, that video stored in your queue, you could just go to it, click it, and boom, up comes the video. So now you have that resource. Um, so video queuing, I think, is one thing that OConnect has already set up and solved.
Mhm.
How about lesson documents? Wouldn't it be great if I could pull up a document, my student, my homeschooler, even if you're in the kitchen and your students are in their quiet time in their desks, all right, you got things you got going on and you say, okay, it's time for math. You pull up for Sue, you pull up the document, she's going to do addition. And then you got John in his bedroom and his desk, and you throw up a PDF for him because
Mhm.
he's in grammar.
Oh my
See
God.
what I'm saying? And you can do that. And then they have the ability to click on it. Poof, it comes up. They can then work on their work. And now they can then set up answers on their computer. Boom, they can send up the PDF. You can look at it and you can real time have that immediate working. And you're still in the kitchen and you've got all of these other children in their workstations. I just think that that's going to be so helpful because
Mhm.
there's so many times when my dear daughter, she's got one place to be with all of her students, all of her children, all four of them at one time from 16 to 7, and it's so difficult to keep them engaged, especially the older ones, because they want to do certain things. Well, with O Connect, I can have them monitored while they're doing their work. I can even throw up a timer and say, look, because O Connect will have a timer, and I'll say, okay, the oldest one, you've got 30 minutes and this needs to be done. Bingo. What it does, it keeps them actively engaged, I think. I'll, any
Wow.
comments?
Oh my God. Daryl, it's been like I told you, it's been 4 weeks since I took mine out of school. Sometimes I'm like, was it the wrong thing? I'm just like, but then you make it look like, oh, be proud of yourself. You did well because everything is just like, it's so sweet. I like cooking. I'm in the kitchen, but they will learn and everything will be well coordinated. That's just so like yoo-hoo. So this is good news for us guys. If you are joining now, we are just looking, Daryl is helping us uh tell us how All Connect is going to make life very easy for home educating or homeschooling families. So if you were planning to do that and you thought that there's one challenge or the other, the solution is right here in your hands as a founding member of Onpassive or even as a prospective user of this wonder product. So apart from that, John, I really do apologize. I keep calling you John. That's really bad, Daryl. So apart from that, we there's just so much you have told me, and then what really got me like, oh my God, is the interactive learning with you, either grandpa or mom and children from other parts of the world. We sit here and build a man of our own. We draw the face from the other part of the world, and it's so everything is just so fun, and I really love that too. However, we know that homeschooling, even though families don't get funding, they still do it because somehow it is affordable. But of course, we do need a bit more. Is there a possibility that while you use or connect or any of these products to educate your children, you monetize from the same product as a family?
Well, if you understand what OnPassive has done, they've created a product-based business. Okay. And we as users can use it basically just for that purpose, or it's a very simple process to become a reseller for those products. So you could literally be using the products O Connect or O Academy, or we even have a record keeping tool called O Staff, which is like an HR, but you can design it so you can
Mhm.
have all of your record keeping. So now you've got 3 tools that you've opted into purchase at I believe it's going to be insanely affordable. you now then can resell those same products to your homeschool parent friends and teach them. And so now they're using it. You're getting a commission based on their monthly subscription, and you'll teach them how to do the same thing. And so it's, I believe, within a year's time, you're going to be able to have enough money to pay for your subscriptions and even to maybe go out and buy some outside resources. And here's something on that same vein. Can you imagine every one of your students today are involved in some kind of a device, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your youngest one probably knew how to use your phone at 2 years old because all of the apps. But if
Right.
you think about this, so you need some kind of income to come in for your children. You need 4 devices to make this all happen. Well, guess what? You've got homeschool friends and parents. You've got church friends who have children. You go to them and say, look, we have a product called Oh Bless. And Oh Bless is a crowdfunding program to where if you have certain needs, we can set up a campaign to be able to help each individual be able to provide income to meet your demand. And so we set up a campaign for Comfort. She needs 4 devices. Let's say they're $1,000 a piece. All right. You want a good high end, good quality. So we set up a campaign. There's 1,400,000 founding members right now, and it's going to grow. So we put a campaign out there and we say, look, we need $4,000 to help this family be successful in homeschooling. So if you had 1,000 people that all put $1 in there, well, you had $1,000. You just took care of one student. Let's say that those 1,000 people put $4 in. Now you've got it. So, well, when I look at this, you know, there's so many possibilities out there with O Connect, and crowdfunding is such a big deal today to set up companies, to help in any kind of devastation, you know, all kinds of things. Why not use it to help parents bring their children home and provide them the education they need? Wow. I want to go to one more step.
Yes.
Mr. Mufareh, who is the owner and CEO of Onpassive, his conversations with me and some of the webinars talking about how do you grade your student? Well, I came out of the public school sector. You know, there's a variety of ways that you can grade students, but if you can learn how to make your students understand how to self-evaluate and peer evaluate, that's the most important thing, I believe, for any education. Because if you can come out and you can be a peer-to-peer evaluator, fair and objectable, and you can evaluate your own material and say, you know what, that didn't really meet up to the standard. I didn't put my effort into it. Look what John did. And we had the same commitment level, but he put more into it than I did. Most students don't know how to do that because they'll come in and defend what they've done rather than to learn how to really objectively look at someone else's work and make a peer-to-peer contribution, peer-to-peer acceptance, peer-to-peer possibly criticize on a positive level. That's a skill set that I think what we can do with O Connect and teaching our students how to do that. And the opportunities are endless. That's a big point on my end. Because
Indeed.
I hate school. I hate school.
You can say that again because, and school, I think we don't want to comment much on school, but then we're homeschooling. Yeah, so it's just crazy. Yeah, go ahead, Darrel.
I was going to say, you know, scores, there's a purpose for scores, especially when it comes to, okay, you know, how are we going to, you got $1 million and you got scholarships, right? Well, how are you going to give $1 million out. So scoring, I think, was one of the ways that was the easiest. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, he scored a 4.0, he scored a 3.8, so we can do that. Well, guess what? We have a network of people with crowdfunding again that we don't need to
Oh
put
my God.
your student into that category.
Mm-hmm.
We have a thing, the standardized testing for colleges. And I'll never forget, I went to college as an adult. And when I was in high school, they said we had to take the SATs, the standardized testing. And I was a senior. What did I care? I just bubbled them in. I had no desire to go to school. And when I finally did, the registrar, she was going through my SAT scores, and she said, "You're just above breathing." It was terrible.
Oh my
But
God.
why should be no one should have to be rated like that. Now let me
Right.
perform. Let me show you portfolios. I really do believe that portfolio concept is very good, but most of the time it's the parent or the teacher that does all of the portfolio
Hmm.
grading, right? Let the student grade him or herself. So that's a whole nother subject.
I know
And
that's. I think you would definitely come back because you know what you are saying. It comes back to what sometimes people argue that examination or tests are not the true test of knowledge, because in school you just know that if you fail an exam, then you are a stupid child and stuff like that. But then I would like you to turn again around, Daryl, because people want to know. There's something unique that I've learned about homeschooling that people want to know. What is the curriculum like? What do you teach your child when you're homeschooling? Do you stick to the school curriculum, to the government curriculum and stuff and stuff? What is the sweetness about homeschooling and this whole what we have now in our hands?
yeah, in the States, even though you homeschool, you do have to pretty much follow your district's curriculum.
Mm,
Okay. But use that as a basis. Don't use it as the end all. Now,
yeah,
there is time factors. All right. And you have to teach children time management. Connect as a timer. And, so you can teach students, okay, you have a time here. And even though we want freedom, there's many times where there is freedom within restrictions. Let me
yeah,
repeat that.
yeah.
There is freedom within restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand that you can operate freely within that time frame or that restriction, I think that builds a level of character and responsibility. So then it gets frustrating. If your child isn't frustrated, they're not learning. All right. And then when they make that frustration level mastery, boom, what do? Well, you go to the next level.
Yeah.
But I do believe that time is a big factor there. Did I answer that question okay?
Yes, yes, sure. You did. Because I just learned, like I'm saying, I learned because I got my support before I finally signed out. I got support from one Christian home educating support service. So I got all of this information, all the time management. You choose what you learn and how you want to learn it, and all of this
Right.
stuff. And yeah, so I'm so thrilled about your presentation about the self evaluation, peer evaluation, and stuff like that. I think that is just top notch on the whole thing, and it's really worth it.
It
Yeah.
may be at a theory level at this point in time, but I practiced that in school, even at the high school level. Unfortunately, I was bound by the state curriculum and the district
Right.
curriculum. But one of the things that I did when I first started teaching, I had the liberty to work with the business teacher. And so what we did for the students that weren't college bound, but they were more business bound, we helped those students understand how to set up a business. And each company, there were 3 to 4 students per company. They had to learn how to compete on the
Wow.
market with each other. Who
That's
was
so
going to be more successful? How can you do that if you can't personally self-evaluate and then
mm-hmm.
to evaluate other people on a positive critical level? And then now we are in such a networking world. How about if I can help your company succeed, even if we're all selling shoes. If I can help
Wow.
you succeed and you help me succeed, people like choice. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, this
Mhm.
whole idea that you have to be a competitor to knock out your competition, I think there's probably a level of that. But if we came in and said, look, we just want to be able to help provide our customers the best
Mhm.
value, regardless of the cost. If the value is what it's promoting, they'll pay whatever it takes, whatever they can afford to get it to the top level. They might have to
Wow.
buy the cheaper sneaker now, but if the companies are working together, they can bring things down. Again, I'm thinking theory, but I just do believe that if we can, and I think Onpassive is trying to teach this ethical and moral way of how to take competition back to where it should be, to where it's healthy competition within that aspect of compromising to help each of the companies move forward.
Wow.
And as
I
Mr.
know.
Mufareh says, take profit end out of it. And that goes into the education sector too. If we can take profit out of education, I think we're all going to work out better. I kind of went off the rabbit trail there, but
No, no, yeah, sure. It's working all well because I'm so excited because everything. The good thing here is that all the things that you wish, Mr. Mufareh said, how about if it could be like this? Now it's possible because we've got the solution right here in our hands. There's everything stuck there in all connect. Meanwhile, you have not touched a bit on it or academy, so we know what it means when both of them come together. I think it's really total solution indeed, isn't that?
yeah, well, Academy will provide that education platform where you can look for tutors, you can look
Yep.
for curriculums. There's going to be people that will be charging for them. There'll be some free, and I think as time goes on, more and more and more, it'll be free because it's helping humanity. And why wouldn't we want to do that? If we can teach people how to use Academy
Yep.
and Connect and staff to bring them in income, like we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
then they have the freedom to teach whenever they want and however they want. And my final point on that was you can teach the basics of education. Then it comes to a point as a parent, whew, I took chemistry 35 years ago.
Right.
How to teach chemistry without going to an outside source? Well, guess what? With Connect, you're going to be able to connect with anybody out there. You might use
Yes.
YouTube as your first resource, but once you find an educator that you like, you contact them, show them how
Mhm.
to use Connect, how it can benefit them and you. So you can teach art, music, whatever you want for your student via a third party. And that, let me just read what I have here. Students can
Yep.
collaborate with art and music tutors from any part of the world. By simply sending an invite link to the tutor, homeschool families can enjoy professional third party educators.
Wow.
Simply. And then you teach them how they can actually make, if they charge, that's fine. Or you
Mhm.
teach them how they can tutor your children and make money at the same time. It's a
Wow.
win win.
Win-win, Daryl. Because I'm just getting excited. I know this is not the topic anymore, but I always think why I'm here though is because I think a lot about home. You know, in my own part of the world, teachers barely earn anything, and I just see the breakthrough here. Because sometimes people need to travel to teach mathematics and stuff like that, but then they don't make that much still. But the breakthrough is here. It just suffices for me to say, here, look at this product. This is what how it can help you and stuff, and life changes. Yeah.
Yeah. And, every product that the educator learns to use, they're going to be able to teach others to use it, whether they're a public school teacher, private school teacher, homeschool teacher. There's a lot of very, very educated parents, let me tell you, and they're going to be able to provide a lot of their skill sets as they learn to homeschool. Um, my children have just blown me away with some of the things that they do to teach their children and the
Wow.
resources that they've found.
Wow.
So, and I think you can do it very affordably. Uh, Unfortunately, certain governments, they say you've got to report. But once you find that system, I think there's a lot of latitude
Mhm.
left and right to be able to meet those government needs.
Right.
And if the government finds that, hey, we are creating this, what I call a grassroots movement, governments are going to say, well, what are you doing that's making it work so well? Because we want to be able
Mhm.
to provide on a government level as well.
Wow. Everything is wow, 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 and wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Daryl, we are, most of the people who are actively chatting and communicating with you here are founders. However, people do visit this platform too who don't yet know much about Onpassive and our suite products or Connect. So, what message would you have to anybody visiting this place for the first time, or even to fellow founders? Just say something before we close.
Well, the first thing we need to do is to understand that when any business that goes out there in today's world is always looking at the profit level. All right. Well, I would encourage you, even if you're a founder, to go to onpassive.com and number one, learn what's available and what's coming. There's incredible information in the Onpassive web space. If you go to the blogs and you learn about where business, where technology, where education is going, and how it's all going to affect you and me. All right. So that's step one. Step two, I would highly encourage you, if you know a founder, make sure that you talk with them to understand, okay, well, how can I use this, number one, as a user, customer user? And then what's the next step if I want to use this to make some income? And it's very simple, really. And I just want to let you know that when you get involved in a company that provides, number one, their number one focus is value.
Right.
And we want to solve problems. So the company's main force is to find solutions, online solutions right now to solve your problem. And O Connect is just one of those products. And it goes far beyond education. Look what we're doing right now. There's certain things that I wish I could have done to just pop up and say, here's one resource. Here's another resource. Download this PDF and you'll have that in your arsenal, your toolbox to help you teach your children. So, and that's here. We've seen it. So just beware. But go to onpassive.com, educate yourself, get in touch with somebody that you know who's already a founder, because your life's about to change if you come on board and just learn about us.
Wow. Thank you so much, Daryl. This was quality time well spent. So, guys, if you joined in a bit later, you would like to find time and go back and watch the whole video. This was a lot of information here, a lot of education. So, if you consider homeschooling, home educating, and you had some fears, the answer is here, the solution is here. So, thank you so much, Daryl, and we hope to see you again soon.
All right. Well, cheers. I really enjoyed it. It's a topic that's my life.
Yes.
And just a little promo for myself. One of the ideas I thought about with O
Mhm.
Connect Academy, I was a professional skier for many years down Alpine. And right now I have this idea that I want to be able to put up lessons for the 60-year-old and above, how
I
to
know.
get down the hill without hurting yourself.
Of
But
course.
yeah, but just little simple things like that. Start thinking about how you can use these tools to
Mhm.
promote yourself and to share what you have learned over the journey. the journey of life. And there's a lot more coming. So Comfort,
I
thanks for
know, I know. Sorry, it feels like keeping you, holding you back, because this is connecting to what we discussed with Andy a couple of weeks ago about retirement. At the retirement age, you have new other things to start doing, starting a new life and stuff. And of course, the time is now, guys. Let's get ready to learn with Darrel Cook, and of course share and get people join and see what he's got to offer. Thank you so much, Darrel, and have a wonderful time. Thank you.
bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.